Hi guys, Sifu Lee, Tas Chun Training Centre and Combat Universe. Just doing a quick video today on the Wing Chun wall bags, on the sandbags. So these are used throughout many lineages of Wing Chun and other Kung Fu systems for that matter. They're a great training device. I guess what's important to understand when we look at any form of conditioning, people like to get a bit carried away with things, and I've certainly found that with the release of Combat Universe, with comments such as people can beat me and so forth. Good on you. That's not what martial arts is about, and that's fighting, I guess. Who can beat who? That's great. I'm not into that egotistical rubbish, and who's got a bigger whatever. Okay, so let's get back to the job and talk about the sandbag. So the sandbag is a great way of conditioning your hands. If you want to look at the science of conditioning from a Kung Fu method, in Wing Chun we have iron palm and iron shin training, not dissimilar to Thai conditioning, except I guess the medicine that we use and the approach is a little bit more holistic in the sense that we look at healing quite rapidly. So normally when we do, and that's why you see this bag's tainted, it looks dirty, it's dirty from Chinese herbs. So when we do the iron palm courses and iron shin training, we do the conditioning, which of course causes trauma to the area, hands and shins, and then we use Chinese herbs to heal that so we don't have any permanent damage. So we're hitting meridians, we're hitting pressure points, and if we continue to do that, then ultimately you're going to make yourself sick or cause a long-term serious injury, which we don't want. So you'll see that, you can see that in some martial arts systems that people have done heavy conditioning, and by the time they're older, they're having difficulty walking and got some serious injuries. We're not into that. It's a steady progression of training. All right, so back to the sandbag. There's a range of things that you can fill the sandbag with. Sometimes it's called the bean bag or a rice bag, and you can put all of those into it. This one's actually packed with what we call here crusher dust, or a fine blue metal gravel, and then the other half of this is rice, and that's just to get the consistency that I'm looking for. When you start off, you might just start off with some sand or perhaps some rice. Rice is good in the sense that it offers a resistance, and then as you keep heating it over the duration, it turns into a flour, essentially packs and becomes more dense. You need to play around with that, and that obviously depends on your own conditioning in regard to your hands. Once we've done iron palm for a little while, then maybe we'll go to a bag that's completely full of gravel and it's pretty hard. But when you're packing them, make sure you're careful. A little story, when I first filled one of my sandbags, I went to the local landscape place, got some gravel to fill it, or some sand at the time, and I put that in there, and then I was hitting the bag one day, and boom, a pebble was in the sand mix and it slipped through to the front onto the face of the bag, and I hit it straight on my knuckle through the bag. So you've got to be careful of those types of things when you're packing your bags. Make sure it's nice and filtered and clean. All right, so as I said, this one's half gravel, half rice essentially. It's pretty dense. From a training perspective, what's happening is you're offering your body just enough resistance so you're not breaking your hand, essentially. Okay, we don't want to punch the brick wall. That's got no give in it, really. It's just enough to offer the resistance. So your central nervous system, your muscles, your connective tissue, basically acknowledges that you're trying to hit something and you're not getting anywhere. So it's recruiting more muscle fibers, and it's trying to do what your mind wants it to do. That's back to that word intent, I guess when we look at martial arts. My intent is to go through this, and I'm doing my best to try and do that. So my body keeps recruiting all these muscles and connective tissue to make it stronger so I can achieve that job. So this is where we get the resistance. Then once we go from here on to, say, a focus mitt, the focus mitt feels really soft. It's like butter. It's so easy to punch, and there's a lot of energy going on from your striking. So the Wing Chun straight punch, again, I love it. I've punched horizontally for years, but never hit as hard as you can, or I can personally, with a Wing Chun straight punch. So, okay, I can hit that, put all your whole body weight behind it, and my hands aren't going to break off. Okay, horizontal punching, in my opinion, from my experience, doesn't provide the alignment that the Wing Chun straight punch does. In fact, we can do a punch in Wing Chun, providing the alignment's right, without making a full fist, because the bones in the bottom 3 knuckles are lining up with the forearm bones. So it's all about skeletal alignment when we look at getting this punch right. All right, so back to the bag. When we start off, it's good, particularly roll punching. You see a lot of Wing Chun punching. When it's done wrong, we get this rolling, which is, if you only hit the bag that way, you're going to tear the skin off your knuckles. The Wing Chun straight punch it's a piston. It's a pistons type punch, so the energy needs to go into the target. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. We need that to go into the target. The other scientific method that happens with the conditioning is known as Wolff's Law, and that's again why we use herbs for healing. So by all means, Google that, look that up. Basically what happens is your calcium cells are a certain size, and then as you go through the conditioning impact training, those cells get damaged or compacted more, and then more calcium as we heal that area builds up. So the bone density actually increases. So your chance of getting bone diseases or weak bone, osteoporosis from that type of training is pretty low. Your bone density increases, and we've certainly had our experiences here where perhaps you've hurt your hand doing something, not training, gone to the doctor, had an x-ray, and doctors have commented on several of my students and instructors bone density in their hands. So and that's again from impacting. So iron palm and wall bag conditioning using the herbs, going through the programs that will most certainly develop a heavier strike. Now, I know there are people out there that may focus purely on that. Having great hard hands doesn't mean you're a great fighter, and I want to make sure that that's nice and clear. All it's doing is sharpening your sword, so to speak. It's giving you a tool, a good conditioned tool, so you know you can hit as hard as you can. Many professional boxers can't do that with hand wraps and gloves on. They're frightened of hitting as hard as they can because they know structurally they're going to break their own hands, and that's pretty common in boxing for the bone on the side of the hand there to get fractured. So it's known by paramedics and those in medicine as boxer's break commonly. So and that's just due to the alignment, that hand punching bone skeletal alignment. So the wall bag, I encourage you to get one, particularly if you're looking at developing a good hard punch and developing that alignment and confidence so you can get that hand right. There's nothing worse than hitting and rolling your hand and having those things happen. Repetitively hitting the wall bag will give you the conditioning required and the power. As I said, it's okay, you can drill away at it. Your hands aren't going to fall off. As you can see, if I've got any redness, it's on those bottom 3 knuckles. I'm not making contact with the top knuckle at all, so hitting on that underside of the bag. Of course, this can be used for elbows, I guess, to prove that that's pretty hard. It's pretty solid. Okay, so the conditioning by using the bag, using the herbs, and doing good programmed conditioning instead of just going hard one day and breaking pieces off yourself is the way to use a wall bag and develop some hand conditioning. Hope you enjoyed that video, and if you've got any questions, let me know. Cheers.